Hi everyone, we're back again in another bonus episode of Deep Dive. This time we're going to be sharing some tips on something that many of us are doing right now, which is virtual meetings or virtual events.
Yeah, and whether you're doing this in reaction to current events or we're doing it anyway, there are a few simple ways to take a webcast from rough and ready to something more polished and engaging.
This applies to just if it's a small meeting between your colleagues like Dom and I right now, or hosted content, or if you're even hosting a large webinar where it's just one presenter to a few hundred people.
So the first thing that you're going to want to think about is lighting and visuals. Where your source light is coming from is very important. You don't want it directly in front of you and you don't want it directly behind you. So we have a window here that's creating this nice soft light on my face, not direct light, and then there is some direct light coming in behind me. So it's just getting a little bit of a rim light on my shoulder here to separate me from the background, as well as filling the background with lots of natural light. The point is, use what you have around your house and use existing light to make your image look as good as possible.
Be mindful of your eye line. It's important to, as much as you can, look into the lens of the webcam. Try and set up your notes and things to keep them all in the same place. You don't want to, for example, have your notes over here on a second monitor because that's very distracting and not engaging for your audience to listen to. And also make sure that you do clean up your background a little bit. And worst case scenario, if you can't do that, then just use one of these super nifty backgrounds and put yourself in front of a beach like Dom's doing right now.
Keeping your computer webcam at eye line, I think, is very important. Ideally, you'll want it either at or above your eye line, as that's going to be the most flattering angle. And make sure to bring your furry friend if you have one. If you can get one up on your lap, everyone will really appreciate it. So the second half of webcast recording, and arguably the more important part of it, is audio. In most cases, the computer audio is probably going to be fine, but if you do have a better mic that you can be using, you should definitely be using that. If this is the type of thing that you do often, I think it's probably worth investing in some kind of tabletop mic that you can talk into. We did some video for MXL, their podcasting bundle, and I can tell you from experience that it is amazing. It's night and day with the audio. Think about it if you're going to be doing something like this pretty often, or if it's a kind of high stakes situation that you're going to need to be using these recordings for.
You want to be mindful of the space that you're in. If you're not able to purchase additional equipment, or you're not going to be doing this that frequently, then just try and do the best with the space you're in as well as the equipment. So I am in kind of an echoey spot right now with some wooden floors, but I'm using a plug-in microphone on some headphones that's just going to try and dampen things a little bit. If you are just going to use the microphone in your laptop, for example, with nothing plugged in, be mindful of feedback. That's when you start hearing your own voice and it repeats itself on a loop. Be careful with that. And also mute yourself when you are not talking. Zoom is obviously designed for webcasting, so it is not the highest quality recording for audio and visual that you're going to get, but it's pretty good. And if you have two people in two locations with two audio tracks, this is going to be the simplest way to do it. If you are alone and you're just wanting to record like an instructional screen record of you going through some steps, we recommend actually not using a webcast platform like this. Rather do something like QuickTime, where you can just record your whole screen, you can record your mic and talk someone through the process as well. But regardless of what you're using, just take a moment to go through all the different settings. So for example, by default, Zoom will record only the active speaker view. And what that does, if there's two of you or three of you, it switches between the active speaker, which is fine for a meeting, but for recorded content it's very distracting. So you'll notice that there's a gallery view button as well, where it puts all the speakers in a grid or next to each other. And you need to go into the back of Zoom and check the box to make it record all of that. Honestly, I would just recommend checking all the boxes. So you get all the different variations of visual and audio, and then you just have options to work with after the fact. If you are screen sharing or using any slides, you will need to be mindful of the fact that people will see your whole screen. So you want to have all of your notifications and chat bubbles and things turned off. If you are hosting a webinar with screen share on your own, you will need to have 2 monitors because you will not be able to administer the webinar and deal with questions and attendees and those bits and pieces while also showing slides. Always a good idea to do a rehearsal before a live webinar, or even if you're going to just be recording like what we're doing right now, do multiple takes, practice it, run through it. If you didn't like your energy, do it again. That's just going to get you the best content.
So if you are doing a live presentation and you have a PowerPoint, you can export those slides directly from Keynote or PowerPoint and drop them into your nonlinear editing system to cut away to cover up any ums or ers or uhs that you want to get rid of.
Yeah, so as we talked about in our last episode last week, creating content does not always have to be a large production. When trying to decide on whether to DIY or whether to bring in a professional film crew, our answer, even before this work from home situation, has always just been match what your audience is expecting. So if you're looking to produce a new brand commercial, then you should have that done professionally. If you're looking to share just a 2-minute update about something that happened, a couple of hours ago, your audience is going to appreciate the timeliness of that rather than having it really high polished professional quality.
But with a bit of forward planning and an extra hour or so cleaning up your recording when you're all done, it'll give it a certain level of professionalism and clarity to your recording that will keep your audiences engaged.
So thanks for joining us today on this Zoom meeting talking about Zoom meetings. If you've got any questions about any of the finer details of that, let us know. And thanks for joining us from the moon.